Today I thought I'd show you my basic 12 volt setup on the Holden Colorado. This was installed quite some time ago, but I'm making some changes to it because I've got a lithium battery and charger to install. So some of this is going to change, but I just thought I'd show you what I'd done. So in under the bonnet here, I've connected up from the positive post on the battery out here. 60 amp fuse. From there it runs into a voltage sensing relay just to make sure we don't drain the starter battery, and from there it runs to the back of the car. You can see it down under here, so that runs down to the back of the car. So what I'd done in the side tray is just put an adaptable box here, and you can see the cabling coming from under the bonnet there. So it comes up under the floor of the car, and originally this was only installed to power up some outlets on the other side of this box, and also an Anderson plug under the car for towing the caravan. So I hadn't really installed any charging or any fuses at this end apart from the fuses for the outlets. So there were obviously there's fuses on the outlets. Now this has changed. I'm going to install a lithium charger here for my heavy duty battery. So I'm going to have to change some of this wiring and fusing. Now the cable that I'd run originally from the bonnet to the back was 4mm cable. So I had actually 4 in parallel for the positive and 4 in parallel for the negative. That's all I had at the time. Now 4mm will probably give you 25 to 30 amps. So it's fused at 60 amps, so that's fine. Now it's really only going to be running charger, so I need 25 amps for the battery charger, and then I also need some leeway for the caravan when we tow. So I'll probably put a 30 amp fuse on the Anderson plug for the back of the car, and then the charger is going to have a 25 amp fuse in the back of the car also. So that's lines up with the 60 amp in the front of the car. So it's protecting the cable, even though the cable was in conduit the whole way from the bonnet to the back. You need to protect that cable, and then from there we'll go to the charger, and then from the charger to the battery box, and then from the battery box back to, I'm going to backfeed those outlets that I already have existing in the back of the car. So they're going to have the fuses on them anyway. Also, there's plenty of fuses in the battery box, which I'm building, my own lithium battery from some old solar batteries that I had. I'll put a link in the description for that video. That's going to be a separate video. And I mean, you can see it here. It's a bit of a mess at the moment. There's the batteries. 3 of, so it's going to be 150 amp hours. There's a lid of the battery box. There's fuses galore in there. Anyway, that's a separate video. So I'm just in the middle of putting the outlets and the fuses in the back of the car, and I'll get some more footage when I'm done. Okay, so this was the original connection box. So all I did was have the 4mm negatives and the 4mm for the positive actually connected up to, so I've got 2 4mm for the rear Anderson plug for the negative and 2 4mm for the positive. So they were all just in big connectors, and they also fed the outlets. So it was just one big connection box here basically. So now what I'm doing is changing this around. So we are going to have some fusing in here, obviously, some fusing for the Anderson plug, some fusing for the charger, which I have to install. And so now I just need to reconnect this up. Here is the lid. So we're going to have an outlet that goes to the charger. So that's got a separate 25 amp fuse on it. So that's going to feed the charging unit. And then coming back from the battery box on this Anderson plug, this will connect to just the outlets in this box. So that's the lid. That should go on all neatly when I'm finished. It'll be a tight squeeze, and then I just need to make up some leads. Okay, so for the charger, this has got a 25 amp fuse in it. So I've used 6mm flex here, which is fine. You just need to make sure that the fusing you use is going to cover the cable. That's how fires start if the cable melts. So as long as your fusing covers the cable size, and there's plenty of online cable lists and charts that you can work out your cable size and your maximum current it can take. So for 6mm flex, 25 amps, that's beautiful. There's not a problem with that. You can see that I've used some different fuse holders here. So these ones are pre-made with lengths of cable in each end. It says this one's water resistant. It's got an LED light so you know when the circuit's working, and that's rated up to 30 amps. Now these are perfect for this situation where it's plugged into the back of an outlet. So you just need to crimp on a lead on the back and it plugs straight in. And then obviously this end will just connect into the positive. So that's fine. Now in the situation here, I didn't want to have to join, you know, the tail of that fuse onto there. It's just another possible hotspot. So I've gone for these, which have screw terminals, so you can connect your cable straight onto that. The only thing I didn't like was that these screws, the grub screws, don't sit flush once you've tightened it up. So I put some heat shrink on them and some tape just to make sure they don't short out on anything else. So this is rated at 30 amps, this fuse holder. So I've got a 30 amp fuse in there for this is going to be for the Anderson plug in the back of the car. So that is the finished product of the fusing. So now I just need to connect all the positives together, all the negatives together, and job done. Okay, so now we've got our incoming connected to everything, so that's our incoming negative. We've got our 4 4mm incoming connected to the 2 4mm that go to the Anderson plug. We've also got our outgoing negative for the charger. The positive, we've got 4 positives coming in. They are connected to our charger cable through the 25 amp fuse, also connected to the Anderson plug through our 30 amp fuse. And then we've got our return via this Anderson plug on the back from the battery, which comes and is connected to our 2 fuses for our sockets on the back here. Yeah, there. Okay, now I've got to fit all of this back into this box and try and get the lid on. That's the fun bit. Okay, so that's the finished product. So obviously connection for the charger and return supply from the battery. Okay, let's get this charger installed. So this is the end result after the charger has been installed. So obviously here's our battery charger. The input is down here. So all I have to do is plug the input into there. That comes from the front of the car. That goes to the charger. Then out of the charger there's two leads here. One goes to our battery box, and this one is if you have a solar panel input. So this is the secondary input from the solar panel. So basically from here I've made up two leads with Anderson plugs. One will go to the battery box to charge it, and the other will return from the battery box and plug into here, giving power to the existing outlets, which are there. So all I've done is mount some timber here and screwed the charger and the outlets to the timber. Just is better finish. I can't really just screw to the side of the tub, that's just plastic. So it was just something more solid to mount to. And this is the battery box. So there's the input from the charger, the output, which goes back to the battery outlets, and there's two lighter sockets, one either side. And the reason I've made these leads about 1 meter or so long, so I can have this battery box mounted at the back or further forward if you like, so they're not bouncing around in the back of the tray. It just gives a bit more flexibility too, so I can move this box around the back if I need to. Okay, I thought I'd better put up just a quick schematic of what I've done here. So from the starter battery we go through our 60 amp fuse, through the VSR in the bonnet, that runs down to the back of the car into the junction box. It splits off here, so through the 30 amp fuse down to the back Anderson plug for the caravan, and then through the 25 amp fuse it goes through the Anderson plug to our charger, then back to the new battery box, through another 25 amp fuse onto the buzz bar if you like that the batteries are connected to, there through the 80 amp fuse. From there we've got our two SIG sockets, both on 20 amp fuses, and then we've also got the return through a 30 amper to this junction box where we pick up the existing sockets, also fused, and that's pretty much it. So I might put a photo of this up in the description. Thanks for watching, and like and subscribe.